very much for that introduction. The Honorable Dr. Kodela Siva Prasada Rao, the Speaker of the Andhra Pradesh Legislative Assembly, the Honorable Members of Parliament and Legislative Assemblies present here, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I do wish to express my very warm appreciation for the invitation that I got to attend this event. I am exceptionally privileged to share the stage with such extraordinary and selfless leaders who have made a very big difference in the lives of many people that they serve. You will light the fire in all of us towards a better world for the generations to come. Allow me first to convey to the people of India the greetings and the goodwill of the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Parliament of Kenya, and also greetings from the people of Kenya. I'm very grateful for the warm welcome. The links between Kenya and India go back very many centuries back. And I want to commend the Legislative Assembly and the government of Andhra Pradesh for hosting this historic meeting of the National Women's Parliament. It is not lost to me that we have included the Kenyan flag on the stage. If you look on the second flag, that is the flag of Kenya. And it's also not lost to me that we have very many members from this community, the Asian community, and particularly the Indian community, doing business in Kenya. And they have provided a very strong economic and political ties between our two regions. I want to particularly recognize Mr. Sabasila Rao, who was born and raised in Andhra Pradesh in the district of Gund, and who has played a very major role in the economic development of Kenya, and is the reason I am here today. I'm very inspired by the experiences that have been shared from this platform, from very distinguished speakers. It's encouraging to see the progress that has been made, and that despite our different cultures and despite our differences, women across the globe face very similar challenges within their own environments. In the Beijing Declaration, if all of you remember, of the Fourth World Conference on Women in 1995, it states clearly that women's empowerment and their full participation on the basis of equality in all spheres of society, including participation in decision-making process, access to power, are actually fundamental for the achievement of equality, development, and peace. While we have made a lot of progress since that time, there are still glaring gaps in achieving this gender equality and actualizing the full inclusion of women and girls in all aspects of the social and economic life. These inequalities are very much reflected in the continued lack of access by women and girls to, in some instances, education, healthcare. They are very underrepresentation in the political as well as the economic decision-making processes, in the violence and the discrimination meted on women, early child marriages, the human trafficking, female genital mutilation, disproportionate responsibilities for the very unpaid work that a lot of women do in their homes. Women, despite being the backbone of the family, they are actually the foundation of the state. And it has been stated here by many speakers that their role as mothers, their role as homemakers cannot be underestimated or cannot be taken for granted. Without her, a prosperous nation and a state cannot exist. The empowerment, therefore, of women to participate in national building is essential for the growth of any country. Some of the considerations that we need to take into account on why it is important to economically empower women. No matter which culture you come from, we have all seen the resilience of women in the home and in their communities. We've seen women turn a few coins into a meal for the whole family. We've seen them tilling the fields with a child or two even on their backs. We've seen women organizing their communities around issues and making a difference in the lives of those around them. And several studies have really shown and have revealed that the equality in the labor force between women and men, the economy would grow faster. An increase in women's and girls' education not only contributes to a higher economic growth by almost 50%, but is also every additional year that a woman goes to school reduces child mortality by up to 9.5%. The exclusion of women, therefore, in any capacity, from the labor market to public office to politics, like I'm coming from the area of politics, is actually can be related to or even can be akin to tossing away valuable resources and curtailing economic growth. It simply does not make any economic sense to exclude women from any sphere of life. The cost, therefore, of excluding women in development is like playing football with only half of the players on the field. Women, we are told, are often work twice as hard and are only recognized half as much. Globally, women are paid less, and in most countries they earn only 60 to 75% of the wages. However, they take on more responsibilities with regard to unpaid labor work, particularly those around the home. Women devote 1 to 3 hours every day to housework, much more than men, 2 to 10 times the amount of times a day to care for the children, to care for the elderly, to care for the sick, and 1 to 4 hours on a day to do market activities. It is therefore important to close this gap by ensuring that we have legislation that addresses the pay gaps and restrictions on the types of jobs that women can do. In the field of agriculture and sustainable development, apart from the fact that 80 to 90% of cases of women, they are responsible for food preparation in the home, women also comprise an average of 43% of the agricultural labor force in developing countries. I am aware that 60% of the population of Andhra Pradesh is engaged in agriculture and related activities, and as it is known as the rice bowl of India. I'm certain that the women of Andhra Pradesh make a significant contribution to the agricultural sector. However, despite this significant role, women farmers earn less than men. They have limited access to farm produce, have very little and no access to financial building. Women should be involved, as we have said, as I proceed to conclude, should be involved in the decision making, especially those that affect their lives. Data has been compiled that indicates that even from June, only 2 countries up to now, the area that is most affected by lack of representation, of underrepresentation of women, is the line of politics. So only 50 countries that have 50% women in parliament or in the lower houses. Rwanda has 63.8% and Bolivia has 53%. The global average of women in parliament is at 22.8%. Kenya, where I'm coming from, as by the last elections, we will be having elections this year, but as per the last elections, we are at 19.7%, meaning 69 women out of the 350 members of the National Assembly, where I am the Deputy Speaker, and the first woman to be given that position of Deputy Speaker. However, there is no woman so far elected as Senator or Governor in that last election. This year, I would like to ask the members here to pray for me because I'm going for position of governor, which is the equivalent of the CM in your system. One of the challenges that we have faced as Kenyan women is realizing the constitutional requirement that provides that no more than 2/3 of any elective position should be from the same gender. However, we have been unable to meet this, particularly on elective positions. As the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, I am acutely aware of the inequalities that women face in my country, the expectations that women carry on us as women leaders, as parliamentarians, as members of the legislative assemblies, to challenge and even to champion women's empowerment, and the need to champion and to challenge the negative attitudes. Furthermore, there is need to identify and redress the power imbalance to ensure the freedom of women to participate in the political processes fully and to safely participate, because a lot of the times it is the violence associated with elections, associated with politics, that the women shy away from. It is crucial that the current leaders encourage young women to get into the decision-making positions through mentorship programs, such as the one that we have been able to see here. Evidence shows that women in politics and women in political leadership champion issues around gender equality, such as elimination of gender-based violence, such as parental leave, such as the issue of childcare, and so on. As I conclude, I would like to remember that many of the solutions that need to happen for us to get that equality, to get that economic empowerment that we are looking for, have been said and re-said even in this meeting. We have been told about being courageous, standing for those positions, even political positions. They cannot come to you. You must be able to stand up and also be counted so that people can be able to give you that chance. Ban Ki-moon, the General Secretary of the United Nations, noted a quality education, a decent job, access to health care, and a life free from violence and discrimination are the necessary foundation for women and girls to be equal partners with men and boys in every aspect of life. One of the notable solutions that have been offered by the Interparliamentary Union is the need to partner, that there should be a partnership between men and women, that the fight for women empowerment is not a women's issue, it is a human issue, and therefore the need for men to actually come out and champion women's empowerment. As I conclude, I want to remember the words of a great lady that we all thought was going to be the president but was unable to do it in the US. And I quote from Hillary Clinton, "Fighting to give women and girls a fighting chance isn't a nice thing to do. It isn't some luxury that we get when we have time on our hands to spend. There is a core imperative for every human being in every society. If we do not continue to champion for women's rights and opportunities, the world we want to live in, the country we all love and cherish, will not be."
I had an amazing time. I'd never been there before. The fans were amazing. But I had a little thought in my head and I was like, I know we can do better than this. And so I feel so happy that, and all of you have been so amazing.